Hello and welcome to Big Baby Sports presents the Legacy of Kobe Bryant. I'm Jonathan Salfo. I got Aaron, Medina, Lekka Erod, and a very special guest, Simsta, from the Defending the Nation podcast, and Manny. How are you guys doing tonight?
What's
Doing
up?
Pretty
what's
good.
going on?
Good.
Doing good.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, in today's show we're gonna honor Kobe Bryant. We're gonna do story time. I'll start with Aaron. Give us one of your favorite Kobe Bryant moments of all time, in your personal opinion.
My personal opinion, I have to go with his obviously, the 81 point game is great. I think the 81 point game is one of the best, obviously. But the memory that I'll always have is watching him drop 60 in his last game. That was incredible. The dude he was banged up. He played pretty much the whole game, and I mean he looked so tired, and was barely getting off his shots, and he just went out there and put on a show. It's one game everybody said just shoot the ball, don't pass the ball. Nobody, the only time ever he would ever not get critiqued about passing. So that's got to be my favorite moment.
Okay, well, I
Medina.
think one of my favorite moments, it probably, that was definitely not his best game actually. That was Game 7 against Boston. But I just remember at the end of that game when they had won, I just remember the smile on his face, that happiness, that joy, excitement when he jumped on the stands and like everyone was just cheering for him. Like even though that was probably one of the worst games he's ever played in the finals, or um, like he just knew in that moment that he deserved that win, that championship. Like he made history by finally defeating the Boston Celtics. Like he was able to do that, and just like witnessing that moment, witnessing him like accomplishing that with that Laker team, that is definitely like one of my favorite Kobe moments that I'll always remember, and it'll always make me happy. It'll make me emotional now that I watch it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Manny.
There's,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Simsta.
there's so many incredible Kobe moments. But for me, I was lucky enough to witness and be in a practice facility with Kobe and the Lakers in 2008. This is after he requested his trade, but before Pau Gasol. And I got to see firsthand his absolute vicious competitive nature against his teammates in practice, where he absolutely did not hold back despite the fact that there were maybe 30 or 40 observers there. And he absolutely ripped Sasha Vujacic and Kwame Brown a new one to no end. And I can't even say the words that he brought up, but his competitive nature, even in practice, was absolutely just second to none. And I left that practice wondering how those players show up the next day after taking a verbal beating like that. But, he really did get the best out of a lot of guys, and he tore down the other guys. And I understood that because I saw that firsthand. So that's my personal, because that was my interaction with him.
Yeah, my favorite Kobe Bryant moment. Keep it 100. Kobe Bryant followed me on Twitter, and that's one of my favorite Kobe moments. He followed me on Twitter, and because let me tell you how he followed me. It was Lakers versus Spurs, playoff game. Kobe tweets out, "What are the keys to the game?" And I'll follow you. I tweeted, "Give the ball to Pal, let Pal go to work, barbecue chicken." 2 minutes later, I get a notification. Kobe Bryant follows you back. I look at it, and I threw my phone up in the air, and then hit the ground. And my brother's like, "What happened?" I look at my phone. It says Kobe Bryant followed me. He's like, "No, it didn't." And then it just felt like an NBA championship to me. He followed me on social media. Who would have thought Kobe Bryant would follow Big Baby Jonathan? And then I DM'd him. We exchanged a conversation, and also too, Kobe Bryant hitting the game winner against Portland over Ruben Patterson, where he pump faked 3 times, shot it, and then the game winning shot against Portland too. We hit it to be number one in the West, to knock Kings from number one to number two. That was one of my favorite Kobe Bryant moments of all time, in my personal opinion. Now, you got your Game Sevens, but that one right there, because I was going through a lot that year as well. So that was one of my favorite Kobe Bryant moments when he beat Portland.
Can't go wrong with any of them.
No, I mean honestly, you know, we've seen him. There's so many games. I think I did like the games against him and Nash in Phoenix. Those Phoenix days, watching them go at it with each other, and Alvin Gentry as their coach. 2009 and 10. Those were some great battles, man. Like him and against those Phoenix teams.
Stoudemire.
Oh yeah, with Amari, man, you can't forget it. And obviously, one of the biggest things that I think that it stands out that I got to say that was awesome is, after him and Shaq, the whole him and Shaq thing happened, the fight, the not wanting to really talk to each other, so on. All of a sudden, here comes the All-Star game in Phoenix, and him and Shaq get to team up one last time together. And I can't say like how awesome that was to see them both just look like it's only been like a few days or a year at the most, and it had been so long since I've seen them play. So that was honestly really nice, and I think it was touching for both of them to give it one last hurrah and actually be co-MVPs of the All-Star game.
I remember my first Laker game that I went to. I believe it was against the Phoenix Suns. I just remember like my dad getting the tickets and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna go to your first Laker game this day," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy! Like I actually get to witness Kobe Bryant play." That was all that I was excited for, and he dropped like I think like 32 points that night, and it was just such a good feeling to like just be able to witness your favorite player, just having such a good night. And I just remember like don't get me wrong, like watching him on TV all the time, I was always mesmerized by the way he played the game, but actually getting to watch that in person, my first game, like I'll never forget that feeling watching Kobe Bryant just go at it.
Is it my turn?
Mute's on, Aaron. Mute's on, Aaron. You had brought up, Aaron, you had brought up Phoenix. And I happened to be at the Phoenix Lakers playoff game 2006 when Kobe hit the buzzer beater to send it to overtime and then hit the buzzer beater to win the game. I'm not doing this to brag, but I'm just going to give perception to this. Okay, so I was at that game. I was at 2010 Game 7. And I was at Kobe's last game because I'm a Lakers season ticket holder. So I luckily was at all those games. Energy in the facility within Staples Center. Nothing in my life has ever compared to 2006 when Kobe hit those back-to-back buzzer beaters to send it to overtime and then to win that game and go up 3-1 in that series, which we eventually lost. But to go up 3-1. I understand. You could have been deaf and blind, and you would have known that there was an energy in that arena. You could have felt it. I think the light bulbs got brighter, everything. It was absolutely amazing. And I was at every other game, but it was absolutely amazing. That game in itself stands out as just something that I don't think, again, 2010 Game 7 was super stressful. Till the end, you didn't know what was going to happen. The stress was thick. You could feel it in the building. Kobe's last game was a party. That was fun. But energy was 2006, no question.
Go ahead, like your era. Technical difficulties, yeah, man. One of my also another Kobe Bryant moment I want to mention. Just seeing him up and close and personal at the practice when they went to Staples Center. Lakers and got an email from Lakers saying you can watch Lakers practice, and I saw Kobe shoot around and just seeing Kobe that close. I got on the Instagram, Big Baby Jonathan _ if you guys want to go check it out. Just Kobe shooting, man, and just him like his work ethic, is unbelievable. Kobe Bryant will be missed, and it's just unfortunate that situation happened last year, and Kobe Bryant always wanted us to keep pushing. Anything that we're doing in life, podcasting, doing makeup, doing anything. Shout out to my girlfriend. Keep pushing. Keep striving for greatness. That's what he probably wanted us to do today. I know it's a sad day, but Kobe probably would be like, go out and go podcast. Go out and go do what you love. So that's what we're doing. We're honoring the late, great Kobe Bryant. And Kobe is special to me because about this podcast, I got inspired. Anytime I make a mistake on my podcast, I go watch film. Just like tonight, I'm going to rewatch film, probably 12 o'clock all the way to 1 a.m., watch film, and try to get better at the next show. So, Kobe will be missed, man, and marathon continues.
Yeah, he will. And you know what? part of my day, part of whether I'm at the gym or whatever it is, you could feel like, when you're struggling, you kind of have that moment, and they say, no, just like use that Mamba mentality. And it kind of helped me today because I was kind of like, you know what, I wasn't feeling up to doing anything a little bit in the morning. And I got up and I said, hey, you know what? This is nice. I could feel that extra energy I had. And I was just like, you know what? Like, the way that Kobe lives his life was to, if you had a bad game, you shake it off and you keep moving. If something happens, you keep pushing to your way you want to get to. And honestly, I felt that today. It was nice. And I look at it as that I was privileged, along with majority of us that are all grew up with him and the same around the same ages. To say, hey, we got the chance to see his whole career, and a lot of people that are younger now, maybe will have very, very little memories of him, but we had the privilege of seeing his whole career, and I think that's the most important thing I was grateful for.
Most definitely. I agree. I'm so glad that we got to grow up with Kobe and watch him play. Um, I always thought that by the time, I have kids someday, like I get to, I mean, I can still talk about Kobe, of course. I can always pass on my stories that I have to my children someday. But I always just thought the time that when Kobe would pass, I'd be like, oh man, like he's 81 years old or something. I mean, wouldn't that be something if he passed when he was 81? But I mean, today, honestly, I'm sure it was a hard day for all of us today. I mean, I had to go back to work today after not going for a whole week because I had just recently lost someone close to me and my family. So having to go back to work on this day was very emotional for me for many different reasons. But I came so close to just like taking another day off and just having it to, having like a mental health day for myself. But then I was like, no, I don't think Kobe would like that. I don't think he would think that's Mamba mentality. Mamba mentality is to, overcome that and, push yourself and just do the best that you can. Don't just sit there and lay in bed and cry all day. As much as you want to do that, you can't let your emotions get the best of you. But you gotta keep pushing yourself until you make it. And that's exactly what he did. And I'm glad I was able to do that today. And it was because of him that I was able to do that.
Go ahead, Manny. Go ahead, Simsta.
My favorite Kobe moment by far is the.
Wow.
Technical difficulties. Go
No
ahead,
problem.
Simsta.
Um, I don't know. I mean, everything that you guys are talking about. I mean, he transcended. He transcended basketball. He reached an audience that was larger than basketball, and that's proven by every professional athlete in every other sport that still references Kobe when they talk about Mamba mentality, or they're talking about drive, or they're talking about whatever they're talking about as far as championships. He's as far as that goes, as far as heart, as far as drive, as far as competitive will, he's second to none. He's definitely above Jordan. I'm not going to get into the GOAT debate. That's there's GOATs for every era, and that's just how it is. But he just his drive. I mean, nobody says, "Hey, I'm going to do it like Jordan." Not unless you're dunking a ball. But everybody can live under the Mamba mentality and can use that. And I don't know any other athlete that's transcended sports like that.
Yeah, that's Kobe Bryant, man. I loved his game. Like, just like when he played through sprained ankle, broken finger. Well, I remember there was a game, I forgot who it was against, where Gary Vee had to pop his finger back. It was against the Spurs. Pop his fingers back in his place, and he ended up scoring 30 points, 35 points that game. But I got a video right here of Kobe shooting. I don't know if y'all can see that, but he's right here shooting at practice.
Yeah.
Look how
That's
close I
crazy.
was. It's like, it's unbelievable, man. I got that close to Kobe, and him following me on Twitter, him mentioning me on Twitter as well. It's just, it's a special moment for me, man, for Kobe. But I always take it. Anything you do in life, if you make mistakes, just look at what can you do better. That's what Kobe would always do. Anytime he had a bad game, he'll look at film to get better. Just like I got fired from a job one time for doing something. I was on my phone, got fired. Okay, what can I do next time to get better at a job? Don't be on my phone. Just stuff like that. Kobe always taught us to keep pushing. And also too, Kobe was doing stuff behind the scenes. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Laker Nation in the comments, that he was working on helping people that live on Skid Row, helping them, trying to get out and have a facility for them and stuff. He was doing that behind the scenes and stuff. So Kobe's well. Take it away, Sipsta.
You brought up some pictures. So I was taking a look at. I actually have a picture from that day in practice. If I can get that going there. That was him on that day, and then I was happy to say that I got a picture of some real Kobe's here, as he was kind of standing in front of us. Those are real Kobe's. But
That's great.
yeah. I mean, he didn't pull any punches. He wasn't gonna, not with anybody. Whether you're a superstar, whether you weren't a superstar, he expected the same from you. That's one thing.
Exactly. Oh yeah. I mean, the best, honestly, and I didn't even mention this too, is when I was watching his 60-point game. Mind you, throughout that season, the last few seasons, the Lakers were going through one of the worst slumps that they've had in a very long time. But I can honestly say, as a fan, I know there's some people that got to watch the game in person. I know one of my cousins actually from the East Coast wrote to the PR director, which was John Black at the time from the Lakers, and this guy, and he reached out to him, and he was like 12 years old at the time. Sent him a full paragraph detail on how much he loves the Lakers and how much he loves Kobe Bryant. Sent it to the PR directors, and then I think the day before the game is when John Black messaged him and said, "Hey, your dedication, how much you love them. I'm gonna get you a seat somewhere, and this is where it's gonna be." So he sat in the very top of the Staples Center. But I mean, still to be there, and I was watching it on TV. If you had your eyes closed, you didn't even look at what the Lakers record was, you would thought this is a game one of an NBA Finals game. That said, it was so nice to hear Staples Center that loud, the fans, like everything packed. It was just so nice to see, to have at least one night until a few years later that we actually had something to celebrate, and it was an incredible moment. I had to share that too.
I personally didn't get to witness any of those great moments happen, but I just remember Game 7 versus Boston Celtics. My brothers actually went to that game, and they had really good seats too. Still a little hurt till this day that they didn't take me with them, but they spent their whole savings account on those tickets. But I just remember them sending me videos and Staples Center is going off, and everyone's just so nervous because it was such a close game for the most part. And then just finally when they at the end when they win and all the confetti starts coming down, my brother was sending me a video of all of that, and I'm just man, to be able to be at Staples Center and witness this moment, that's incredible. So man, to anyone that got to go to their championship games, go to his very last game, that's a privilege, man. That's a blessing that they got to experience.
Yeah, Kobe touched us in certain ways. What will you guys remember Kobe? What's the number one thing you remember Kobe by? I'm gonna start with Aaron, Medina, then Simsta. Go ahead, Aaron.
Dedication and the hard work. The drive to stay as locked in as possible to the game. Honestly, being so aggressive when it comes to knowing that, okay, I was bad, I'm sitting here, the determination for him to say, what, I shot terribly, I'm gonna wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go to the practice facility before everybody else gets there and just literally go shoot 100 or probably 1,000 jump shots before anybody's even there. And now I use that as my motivation to say, hey, you know what, I'm on a fitness journey, so I'm going to use his motivation to keep focused and realize, if he could do something with his life, I can do something too.
Go ahead, Medina.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron said it best. I think his hard work, his dedication to the game, I mean, he didn't let a bad game define him. If anything, he went and he relearned. He learned from that, and he came back stronger. I mean, when the Celtics defeated them, well, in the championship year, like I just remember looking at Kobe's face, and man, he was devastated. I mean, it took some time and patience, but a couple of years later, he came back, and he got that championship over them. He came back stronger. He learned, and he just always had that takeover mentality, the Mamba mentality. Like if they were down in a game, if he was getting frustrated, like all of a sudden you would just see him scoring one after another. Like nothing could stop this guy, and that's what I love so much about watching Kobe. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, players today are great, but I feel like nobody can ever compare to Kobe. He just always had that drive. He always wanted it. He wanted it so bad, and he always got it.
Yeah. What stands out maybe to me is amongst all the other situations was probably one of the sadder moments or more difficult moments to watch. However, when he came up and he shot those free throws after the Achilles, that personified everything that Kobe Bryant was about. No quit, no end. Fire does not go out. When he walked back out to shoot those free throws, and everyone knew what had happened. It wasn't in doubt. Everyone knew. But watching him do that, it just, what do you have to complain about, right? If he's doing that, if he's getting out there and he's doing that, how hard is it? Like you say, podcasting. All right, let's go. Let's do this. Okay. Not feeling good. Yeah. Let's still go to work. Obviously if you're ill, stay home. Let's be safe. But if you're sore, no, you get up and you grind. That's what we do. That moment personified everything that he was about. His legacy would have been intact, obviously, regardless of that moment. But that just brought him to a new stratosphere and cemented him among athletes and beyond, in my opinion.
Yeah, since most definitely the Kobe Bryant, when he tore his Achilles, shot those two free throws, made those two free throws, and walked off the court. That's something we will never see. We usually see players get carried off in the wheelchair. Paul Pierce, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we gotta keep pushing. It's a marathon in life. Marathon continues. And my brother has a question. Shout out to you, brother. Who is your favorite player to watch playing against Kobe? Shane Battier, Bruce Bowen, Roger Bell. For me, I think you forgot one, brother. You forgot Ron Artest. Ron Artest and Kobe had those battles in Houston, Sacramento. But you went to that game and you made Ron Artest miss two crucial free throws because you were yelling in the stands. You missed two free throws, and Kobe looked at you. Good job, brother. Just Ron Artest, Kobe had those battles in Houston. Him shoving. Kobe got into it like boxing out, and Kobe elbowed Ron, and Ron was like, "Hit me in my throat again," and they're about to fight. Always those great battles with Ron Artest, Meta. At the end of the day, it's great competitive basketball. Who do you guys think? I'm gonna start with Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, one name we left out. Can't forget him. Let's think back to the Memphis days when Mark was good, and they had Zebo, and they had that whole Pilt team. Tony Allen. Anytime when the Lakers played Memphis, Tony Allen made Kobe have the most miserable shooting night because he was the only guy that knew his footwork and knew exactly where he liked to shoot, exactly what he wanted, his fakes, his pump fakes, his everything. They knew he knew him like top to bottom, and he was the only guy that actually guarded Kobe the best. I think Kobe only had like maybe one or two 30-point games against Memphis when Tony Allen was guarding him because it was just so difficult for them to defend him. Nobody else could do it except for him. Then when Tony Allen left, a whole different story. But he was one of their best. I'd say he's one of the best defenders that they had.
Go ahead, Simsta.
You know what? I'm going to say that it was always fun. I'm going to actually go a different path here. And I'm going to say it was always fun to watch him play against Spike Lee at Madison Square Garden because he really never had a competitor. Really. But when he scored, 61 at Madison Square Garden, and he looked at Spike Lee and he said, "That's your fault." He said, "That is your fault." When Kobe, his best battles were more network games, when they played national. and that was any big team that he played against. But I always cherished the moments when he was in Madison Square Garden. That was a must see. Couldn't miss those games. So I'm just gonna go off the grid and pick that.
What you like, Erod? Technical difficulties on that, like Erod, man. Fix that, Erod, but we'll be all right. At the end of the day, Kobe, man, you got Shane Battier, you got Tony Allen, and a great one, Ruben Patterson. The Kobe stopper. The Kobe stopper. He wasn't no Kobe stopper. He was just saying that, because if I was going against Kobe, I would say the same thing. He has to have confidence. I get it, but Kobe lit him up that night. Lit him up that night.
No,
I like.
If you're going against Kobe, you keep quiet.
Yeah, I like. Actually, you know what? I like when players have the confidence and then Kobe just shuts them up. Just like if. Okay, it's fine. I'll be right back. But real quick, just imagine if Kobe and Lonzo Ball played against each other, and LeVar Ball was talking mess about oh, my son's better than Kobe. Kobe would light him up for 60, and be like, just in general, Kobe has that thrive of if you talk mess, he's going to extort you. Just like when Mark Cuban was like, amnesty Kobe. Dropped, I think, like 40 points, and he said, amnesty that. Just when people talk mess about Kobe, he shows you on the court, that he shows up.
Yeah. He was one of honestly, the guy, relied on having people trash talk to him. He would say, I think he had a game, don't quote me, I think this is what happened, is he had a game, it was either versus an East Coast team where he said, or he bet Kyrie when Kyrie was just getting going in Cleveland, and he's like, I'll bet you 10K I'll make these free throws right now. And he's like, really? He's like, you have to make these 2 free throws. He's like, okay, 10K, let's do it. And he just looked like dead in the face, like, oh, it's no big deal. $10,000, nobody's gonna care. Banked them 2 free throws and says, okay, pay up. And it's like, it was just no quit. Like he lived for that energy, and that's. Honestly, you can't get any greater than that. I mean, he loved the fight. He loved people booing him. Like he just, because he knew that all I got to do is just go off on you in this whole arena, no matter where I play. It could be in Golden State, and they could be screaming and yelling, and he'll still shut him up.
Yeah, it didn't matter because the boos. He loved that as much as the cheers. He knew how to turn that into a positive and motivating for him, so it wasn't a problem at all. He loved it. He thrived in that.
Yeah.
No question.
You're muted, John.
There you go.
Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, he was honestly like, I think honestly the best games probably though when I saw him play, like you said, against Spike Lee. Honestly, MSG was his favorite place to play. Besides, obviously, second, obviously, first was Staples, but second on the road, no matter what, always MSG. Obviously, we know he set the MSG new record until Carmelo broke it by like 2 points. But when you have a career night in a place that you love going, that's incredible.
Yeah, most definitely. And also one of my favorite plays, you guys remember when Robert Horry threw the pass to Kobe? Kobe went behind the back and then dunked it. That was one of my favorite plays too. There's so many, just like against Dallas where the ball went off his leg and he picked it up and just chucked it and it went in. Kobe makes some ridiculous shots, against Dallas again, left-handed, after the shot clock. So, Kobe is really good at what he does on the court, off the court too with his books, and he won an award. So he's a legend on and off the court.
I'd still get chills when they show the replay. When you're talking about plays, this was the Powell Kobe play in the championship when Powell just does the eyes, and they linked up and they talked about that after the game and how they linked up. That always gives me chills when I'm seeing that. When they're talking like that type of play work.
Honestly, Powell. What I would say is, there's the best thing that we got to see, obviously Kobe and Shaq were the best, they're the best dynasty. They did it first. But if you had to pick another guy to play alongside of Kobe, Pau Gasol was one of the greatest guys he had and play with it. Not only because he's the only guy, and not only because Kobe would sit there and legit start talking to him in Spanish and just say, hey, like, set a pick right here for me. because he knew like someone else is not going to hear. So I'm just going to speak a different language for you. That way you and I are on the same level. Honestly, that Kobe and Powell pick and roll, man. The Powell with the jumper at the top of the keys. We saw that connection so many times. And obviously I love nothing more now than anything to obviously see Powell with maybe another retire as a Laker, sign a day contract, just to say, hey, you know what, I did this for you, and he's as loved as Kobe was.
Yeah, most definitely. Powell and Kobe, but hey, Kobe made Powell tougher. Powell was soft coming out of Memphis. What? When we got punched in the mouth by Boston, and that still eats at me until us Laker fans hate Boston with a passion. But just after we got blown out, and even in Team USA, when it was Spain versus LA, Kobe and Powell would be going at Kobe, talking mess to Powell. I feel like that toughened Powell up. We got revenge in 2010. Just in general, man, I just love Kobe Bryant as on the court, and a lot of people would always get mad at Kobe for not passing the ball, da 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 da. But at the end of the day, Kobe has to take those big heroic shots. Who's going to take those shots? Smoosh Parker, Chris Mim.
It's always the same. Who's Smoosh Parker, Chris Mim?
Yeah, Brian Cook. Kobe had to take those shots. And speaking of jerseys, what jersey number did Kobe make ton of history with? Most 8 or 24. I'm gonna start with Simpson. Simpson, what you think? That comment right there.
You know what? I was looking at the comment from it looks like Joel. They're equal. They're as equal as it could be. The stats are almost identical in both numbers. You have a young Kobe. You have a mature Kobe. You have two distinct, different Kobe Bryants in those jerseys. It wasn't just numbers. There was still winning in both jerseys, but there was a immature, somewhat immature, and then a mature. Honestly, I couldn't pick. I'd say 8, just because that's when everybody, if you're old enough to remember, that's when you were introduced to Kobe Bryant. That's when your discovery of Kobe Bryant happened. That's when you first hopped on the roller coaster ride and said, all right, buckle up, let's see what's going on. So I think, just like your first championship is always going to be special, maybe. So I would say maybe to the purists that are of age, maybe number 8, but across the board, they're equal in my eyes.
Yeah. Honestly, my take on it is that you can't really, if you think about it, it's really hard to say which one's better. Which one, 8, 24. People were asking too. I remember before his jersey got retired, they said, what do you have? Who should they retire? And I think the Lakers did it best, because they said, well, look, they even asked him. They said, hey, if you had to choose between a number that you want, and he said, I can't, because one is me being young and immature, and still figuring out things, figuring out my life, and getting married, and then eventually having a kid. And then the second part of his life is, hey, you know what? I've grown up, and you know what? I'm a different person now. I have a different motivation. I realize this franchise loves me, and I love this franchise, and I've decided that this is my home. I'm not going anywhere. I thought about these options when I was younger because of what had happened, but you know what? He learned when he got older how much the city, the franchise, how much he's respected around here, and even honestly in Orange County too, because I live in Orange County, and honestly, I remember seeing him. I would see him at Disneyland all the time. He'd go there because his wife, his kids, has a pass. They love it, and it's like you saw a different side of him. You saw him being older, on the court, being, the leader of the pack, to outside of basketball being a family guy. And, that's something that obviously after his career was over, we saw more of. So I think, definitely you have to say the best thing they could have done was retire both jerseys.
Yeah, most definitely, man. 8 and 24. But let me ask you this. Let's say who would win in a 1-on-1? Number 8, 24, or number 8 jersey versus 24 jersey. Who would win in a 1-on-1?
24.
Oh, that's 24.
Just because he's smart.
24.
Easy,
He has
or you
every-
think it'll be
he-
competitive?
He has easy actually because he has everything that 8 had, but wisdom. Everything number 8 had, but wisdom.
I agree
Add
too.
that,
I
too.
mean, you can't have. I don't think it's even a. I don't think it's even a debate because definitely you're gonna have on. You're gonna have a number. You're gonna have a number over 8. You know, you know your footwork better. You've defined it more. You have everything like exactly what you want it to be, and you know it's obviously 24 would dominate 8. I think 24 easily will put up 40 points, or no, if not more.
Now I have a thought. I have a question because we were talking about number 8 or number 24. Lakers did it right by retiring both jerseys, but
Yeah.
let's just hypothetically say there's only one statue. What number is going on the statue outside in front of Staples Center? Remember, number 8 helped bring the first title to Staples Center. That's a great. Go ahead.
I'd say I have an idea for this. So, because obviously we know how creative you could be if you're going to make a statue. You put, and we saw it if for anybody that got the Black Mamba editions. What's up, Alex? Anybody got the Mamba edition jerseys that Nike got to release, they actually did it the best, and I actually could see that as the statue is 8 on one side and 24 on the other side. That's exactly how you do it. Just
Is that
depends.
the
I
only
think
way?
24 on the front. I think 24 on the front though.
Go ahead, Medina. What jersey number made a ton of history? 8 or 24?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I mean, they both made history. Like, you guys were saying, number 8 brought the first title, and number 24, he created a legend. I mean, I think I would have to agree with Aaron. If we had to choose one, I think I would have number 8 in the front though, personally, and number 24 in the back, just because number 8 was the one that started it all. I think that deserves to be in the front.
Yeah, most definitely.
Number 8 coming and number 24
Yeah.
going.
Yeah,
True.
yeah, most definitely. But that's the thing, though. We're talking about statues. I know Kobe's family, man. He was really had high praise for Gianna. She was gonna go to UConn. Very passionate about that. I feel like they should honor Gigi too, along with the statue with Kobe. They got to honor it because Gigi, man, had that Mamba mentality. Her footwork was looking like Kobe's out there at the Mamba Academy. You know what I mean? And my nephew is named Kobe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And my brother's gonna name Kobe before he passed. Yes, right there. And my nephew has a great name, and now he finally got to hold a basketball. My nephew, there's a video of football or basketball. He looked at the football, ignored the football, and grabbed the basketball. So my nephew's gonna be a basketball player, and I'm gonna be the LeVar Ball of Kobe.
A proud one, right?
Yeah,
A
proud one. But yeah, I'm like, as far as Gigi, do you think she deserves a statue with Kobe, or do you think it should just be Kobe?
I think it should just. I mean, honestly, I think it should just be Kobe. Gigi is gonna be remembered. Period. I think if the Sparks wanted to, they could hold a spot. They could do something and engrave us. What they could do is they could take a seat. If you get really creative, you could take a seat next to the Sparks bench, or Sparks bench, and then UConn could do the same thing and take a seat and put number 2 on it, and just say, this is an extra seat, and it's an extra seat that's put on their bench, and say this is going to be for, it's going to be for Gigi. So I definitely could see them doing something like that. And I mean, it's pretty easy too. So, and I think that's the best way you can honor her, because I mean, she was still younger, and if she had been already older and getting her way to being very close to just jumping into college and starting hoops there, I think you would see a bigger scenario. But I think that's probably one of the best ways you could honor her.
I agree with you on that, Aaron. But I mean, she wanted to play for the Huskies, no? I feel like if anyone should be honoring her, it would be her team that she actually wanted to play for instead of the Sparks. But I get why you say Sparks, because it would be in LA Staples Center. I know, but I mean, I feel like maybe not a Gigi statue, but just like you said, like just something to have to remember her by and to honor her memory as well. I mean, she was Kobe Bryant's daughter. She also had that Mamba mentality. She was there, to carry on his legacy. So I think they should have something in that stadium to, remind us of her. And also, when we're honoring her dad, we honor her as well because she played the game just as tough as he did.
Chris, what you think, man? Chris, technical difficulties on his end. Chris, what do you think of this comment right here? Give us your background on your favorite Kobe. Give us your background of your favorite Kobe Bryant moment.
Like I said on Twitter, 60 game is like final game because really old and going out with the bang.
Yeah, most definitely. Kobe. He turned up. Most definitely. Kobe 60-point game. Him just 60 points and crazy that Shaq was like, "You're gonna get 50." He's like, Kobe laughed at him. Kobe's like, "Huh, really? No, I'm good." And then, sure enough, that's something we'll never see again from anybody. Not LeBron, not KD, not these great players that are in the league today. They're gonna retire, probably not get off for 60. We'll never see great retirement performance like that ever. Because that, to be honest, that felt like an NBA Finals right there with the excitement. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, yelling and screaming my head off, and the Warriors clinched the best record. The whole Buffalo Wild Wings was filled with Laker game. And the Buffalo Wild Wings didn't care about the Warriors. They knew that they were going to clinch the best record in the NBA of all time. So when that Kobe Bryant 60-point game, okay, Kobe's getting going, and he starts his back-to-back shots, and I went crazy. Almost got thrown out at Buffalo Wild Wings, but I didn't care. I went too crazy that night. Too crazy,
Yeah, I remember.
Circling back,
sitting there.
go ahead. Circling back really quick to the Gigi statue, or in some way, just as you guys were talking, if they were going to do something, what I could see them doing is in some way memorializing the last game that Kobe and Gigi went to. Kobe in his orange WNBA hoodie. You're memorializing Gigi with the WNBA hoodie on Kobe. A lot of us remember. I happened to be at that game and obviously didn't know anything special about it, but I think that would be probably just almost like they have the chick Hearn sitting down behind the desk. They could have them two sitting down, Kobe with his arm around her, one of those pictures, and maybe give people a chance to kind of sit next to it and take a picture. Something like that might be really nice. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, should be interesting. I mean, there's honestly, back to the statue is. Honestly, if you think about it, there's many things the Lakers could do. There's many ways you can go about it. Obviously, I think the 8-24 will be considered on the statue as well. But you never know. I mean, they could somehow honor Gigi on there. But, or they could say, hey, let's find another way to do it. Let's find another way. Maybe have it. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they put something else like somewhere in the building. Something that
it
could say to have them both together, or have an image of them that should say that maybe a mural, maybe someone can paint a mural that could be made right next to Staples Center, and they could say, hey, this is the wall that's going to have this mural, and it's going to be Kobe and Gianna, and that could be the image the last time that they were there. So
yeah. That would be nice to see. I think that would be a really great way to honor both of them. And I feel like that's the way it should be. It only feels right to just have them both together like that.
Yeah, most definitely. And Kobe was with the Lakers last season as far as the playoff runs. He was with us in spirit. I felt it. With the AD shot against Denver, Kobe was with us. And Anthony Davis said, Kobe, and just like these players are going to honor Kobe. And, hey, LeBron has that spin around fadeaway, he's kind of getting rhythm to it, you know what I mean? So, wouldn't be surprised if we win the championship again, and they're probably going to win it. They got to win it back-to-back for Kobe, man. They got to, everybody hashtag winning it for Kobe and Gigi in the comments, everybody. Hashtag winning it for Kobe and Gigi.
past Boston.
Oh,
He'd love that.
Oh,
He would love that.
Yes, he would, man. Oh, I'm just getting chills by thinking about that.
Right? He would love that. Yes.
Kobe, a Lakers and Celtics finals. I mean, obviously, the best thing that could be is obviously, as we know, is the best thing we can hope to look for is the fans being there, because we know, that already excites the building more to have them there, and hopefully we can have the fans in the stands and everybody be there, and say, hey, we're here, and this is absolutely what Kobe would want right here. And hey, you know what? If it goes 7 games, it goes 7 games. But I think that'd be the cherry on top to really say, his spirit is with this team, no matter what they're doing. He's always going to be with this team. He was with them when Anthony Davis made that shot at the buzzer. And he was with them all the way through the playoffs. So I think he'll never be away from the Laker franchise.
He'll never be away from the Laker franchise. He'll never be away from our memories. I mean, I think we all have that Mamba mentality in us today because of Kobe, that, like the whole team does. Whenever, like one of them has a bad game, they come back stronger. They mention Kobe Bryant. They say, like, what would he tell me right now? What would he tell me to do better? Or what would he do to do better? How would he learn from this? And I think that's just something, like all of us Kobe fans use every day in our lives. Always, since we've been a fan of him, but ever since, especially, of course, like since he's passed away, we've all tried to have that Mamba mentality. We all try to honor that for him and push to be the best that we can be every day.
Yeah, most definitely. Kobe inspired everybody. Not just Laker fans. Every fan around the world. Like, you got Celtics fan, Clipper fans, that are big time Kobe fans. Clipper, shout out to Clipper Darrell, man. Shout out to you, man. Him and Kobe had a great connection together. Shout out to all the Kobe fans out there that stuck through Kobe. Through the ups and downs, highs and lows. Shout out to you guys, and shout out to everybody that was watching, man. Before we close it out, go ahead, Aaron.
So I was just gonna say, shout out on social media to the whole league, and whether you're Boston, whether it doesn't matter. This just shows for one day out of the whole year. No matter if you hate the Lakers, you love the Lakers. If you hated Kobe Bryant, you liked everybody else, or you hated everybody else, whatever it is, you come together, and it's not about the Lakers team. It's about him, and that's the best thing I think that's great to see around all the sports world. No matter what your team is, no matter who you are, we're all coming together here. We're all sitting here talking about him, and it's been terrific tonight.
My brother has a question. You think we should have kept Vlade instead? Hell nah. But shout out to the Charlotte Hornets though. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
But that's the thing though. Vlade Divac, anytime he's probably eating at a restaurant, people say, "Hey, you got to trade for Kobe." Like, if you're a player, if you're in that situation, like if I was in that situation, I just got traded for one of the best players of all time. Do you think Vlade? I always want to know. Do you think Vlade gets upset about that? If you're a Vlade Divac, would you be like offended by that, or do you take it as an honor?
Take it as an honor, absolutely. I mean, hey, you know what? It was a win for both sides, and he went off and did his thing, and yeah, maybe he wishes he had the success of Kobe, but I mean, let's just remember here, Kobe was gifted to this. His work ethic. He used Jordan's work ethics and his moves and everything to help improve himself as a player, and Divac was a different player back then, and he wasn't what the Lakers were looking for, and they took an opportunity on a young kid, and they made probably one of the best moves in history right there. Go ahead, Medina.
Sorry, I just want to go back to what you were saying earlier, Aaron. When Kobe passed away, I noticed that I thought a lot of Kobe haters, I don't know, I thought they would say something negative about his death, but it amazed me to see like everyone from the world, no matter where you come from, like everyone came together on that day last year to mourn him together. it sounds really corny, but it's like we all bled purple and gold last year on this day. Like even Kobe haters should finally admit, like, oh my gosh, we just lost one of the greatest players of all time in such a tragic situation. And it was really sad to see all of us come together for that reason, but it was also very beautiful at the same time, if you guys know what I mean. And like I have people in my family that just absolutely hated Kobe, like hated him so much. But then like I would see them, write this like really nice Instagram post about him, saying like admitting that the reason why we hated you is because we were just so good, and like you always beat our team, and they just came to admit that like he was just one of the greatest players, and that's why like they weren't a fan of him. But no one ever wanted something like this to happen to him, and just like his death just brought us all together in that way, and I just think that was really beautiful, and I just wanted to mention that on that topic myself.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I mean, Medina, you took the words out of my mouth there. I mean, it's I remember, just how obviously how hard it was to hear when when it happened. The news came out, and you know what? Like I feel like today, a lot of people, and I get it. A lot of people hit it with emotions. It hits you, and but the biggest thing I learned is, with Kobe Bryant, the only time that at least we saw it, the only time he ever cried and you could see how upset he was when he tore his Achilles. Because he was pissed. He wasn't just upset with tearing it. He was pissed at himself because it's a move that he made all the time. It's a move, his pivot foot, and he just moved it, and it just snapped. And that was the one time you see him be human, where he cried. He was upset, but otherwise, he was always one of those guys that says, "I'm not gonna sit here and cry when somebody goes. I'm gonna mourn. I'm gonna mourn my way. I'm gonna mourn, and then I'm gonna use their spirits. I'm gonna use that motivation to say, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep going. Job's not done. The job's not done. We were saying that throughout the playoffs because that was his motto. You get up, you get ready. The day after something like this happens, you get up in the morning, you do your routine, you stick with the routine because that's what he would do the next day too. And that's how he trained his kids, and that's how his wife knew his routine, Vanessa. And he just had a motivation of just never giving up on things, and he went all the way till he could to say, this is what I was doing. And unfortunately, we lost him very young. And it was really a bummer, as I think someone mentioned here about saying, it would have been great if he made it to 81. But you know what? I look at it this way, and I say, Kobe's with me. I have him on my shirt. I'm going to eventually have a Lakers jersey that I can wear all the time, and I'm going to continue to rep him throughout the playoffs and throughout the whole season.
Go ahead, Simster.
Luckily this year is not over for Kobe. As we head into May, we have the Hall of Fame, which is very deserved, and that'll be more difficult moments, I think. It may even be a little bit more difficult than today because we may be seeing the family at this point, which this might be a good time to also just all of us, reach out in our condolences still to the, Bryant family and Vanessa, of course. They're still dealing, this day is much harder for them than anybody else and any of us could even possibly imagine. And Vanessa has persevered with grace and honor like Kobe would have expected. And I applaud her and how difficult that must be to hold up that for her family and for her kids and her daughters. But this year he'll have his spot in the Hall of Fame. He's going in with the absolutely perfect co-Hall of Famers in Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. Those two players know him as well as anybody could possibly know Kobe Bryant from the opposite side of that court. And there's still a lot to come for Kobe. He's, in a sense, still not done, right? He's still making his way and still setting records, in a sense.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's gonna be an emotional night for everybody, and everybody's. I think, I think it was on your channel, Fan Nation, that mentioned about who do you think should speak at the Kobe Bryant Hall of Fame. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Who do
we've
you
asked
thi- who
several
do you thi-
people.
Who do you think should speak? To be honest, I think they should let Pal go because I see a lot of videos. Pal's been talking about it recently, and like him and Kobe were like brothers, man. So I feel like Pal should talk. Even let Vanessa talk, and even let Jeannie Buss talk. Those are my three: Pal, Vanessa Bryant, Jeannie Buss. Who are your top three to speak at Kobe Bryant's Hall of Fame?
If you're asking me,
Yeah.
I think if she's strong enough, it should be Vanessa. What she sacrificed. We all can only imagine the hours and the loneliness that she sacrificed, knowing Kobe was working out from 4 a.m. to 12 a.m. and doing everything he was doing, and she really gave us Kobe. She took that burden on willingly, knowing from the start that Kobe would never solely be hers. In most relationships, you have that partner solely for yourself. She always knew that she was sharing them with everybody. If she has the strength, I think she sacrificed every step of the way with Kobe, and I think it would be great to have her on. Other than that, we've had guests on, and they've mentioned Michael Jordan. Obviously, Pau Gasol, you really can't go wrong. But if Vanessa has the strength, that would, I think, just absolutely rip everyone to shreds, but it would really be fitting.
Absolutely. I mean, I say even Adrian, even your comment too, Vanessa, Rob, and Pal. I mean, that's a great group of people right there. That, it's just that sometimes you could have those three people right there, and obviously the kids will be there too. And if you never know, it could just be Vanessa, Rob, and Pal, or it could be multiple people. It could be 12 people that are there honoring him. He was a legend of the game and a legend to so many people, coaches, Phil, the Zen Master here. It could be D-Fish, everybody. So you could even see Shaq.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every suggestion that's being made in the comments is fitting. There's not a single one that would not fit.
What about Smush Parker?
He wouldn't fit.
No.
No.
What about Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
I think he would bring a humor and relief to it if he came up there and said, "Hey, we know Kobe would have wanted me to be the one," and everyone laughed, and he goes, "No, not really. Let me introduce somebody else." That might bring some comedic relief, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's the spot to do that.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Before we get up and out of here, man, let's close this thing out. So, Aaron, what are your final thoughts on this show tonight, man? Give us your thoughts about the show overall.
Obviously, I think we hit it right on the spot with a great show today. I think we picked the best way to honor him here on Big Baby Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He would, wherever he is spiritually around us right now, seeing us representing our purple and gold right here, he is saying, "Well done, guys." And you know what? You hit it right on the spot. And this is the best way to honor somebody is not thinking about something sad. You think about the memories that are always going to stick by him, which is a fitting name for him.
Aaron said it best. I mean, I think he would be really happy to see all of us come together and just honor him in the best way possible, getting through one of the hardest days and, just keep pushing through and having that Mamba mentality. I mean, it's not easy. It's a very emotional time, emotional day for all of us Laker fans, Kobe fans. But, we got through it, and here we are sitting here together, honoring his memories, sharing our favorite moments. And honestly, I can't think of a better way, to honor him than to be on the show right now with you guys and, talking about all of our, favorite moments about him.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, like what you guys said, great show. John or Kobe, everything like what I've been through 10 days ago with my grandma, and to keep pushing through and everything.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It was a great show. You know, long live Mamba. Long live Mamba. Appreciate you, brother. You know, appreciate you, Adrian. You know, appreciate all the comments, man. And Kobe always, marathon continues, man. Marathon continues. Anything we do in life, marathons continues. You know.
Okay, Lakers.
Go Lakers, man. You know.
Simpson, before we get up on it, we gotta do a Mamba out on 3. Everybody has to do a Mamba out.
Ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Three.
Mamba out.
Mamba